everybody. Happy Friday. I'm David Asman. Thanks for joining us. Kicking off tonight, Obama's a socialist. Now, that's the view of 55% of American voters, according to a new poll. And this isn't coming from a Republican pollster. It comes from Democracy Corps. This is a polling group started by lifelong Democratic operative James Carville and his partner Stan Greenberg. When this group asked 1,000 voters in mid-June how well the term socialist fits President Obama, 55% said well or very well. It's a big group of people. Now, this must scare the hell out of the elites in the media and academia who think such talk is just the province of folks like Glenn Beck, not the majority of voters. But yes, and yes again, it is Glenn Beck, and it is the American people who now think this way. And when you look at the evidence, it is hard to dispute it. Nationalizing companies and whole industries, overriding constitutional laws regarding property rights, these are socialist policies. It's fair to assume that the man directing socialist policies is a socialist. And Americans have always been fair. They were fair to give Obama the benefit of the doubt and elect him. And after seeing him in action, they're fair to think of him as a socialist. His recess appointment of the new health czar, Donald Berwick, helps confirm that impression. Remember, he's a guy who says that the only way to improve health care in America is to force the redistribution of wealth in this country. Now, that's the kind of socialist nonsense that you hear in academic circles all the time. And in academic circles, this talk usually goes unchallenged. These people believe that folks are poor because other people are rich. They even extend that belief to the entire world, believing that the only reason poor countries exist, the only reason they're poor, is because they're exploited by us, the rich companies. Now, that's called dependency theory, but it's really just warmed over socialism, and it's got the same emotional core as socialism, drawing its energy from guilt, from envy, and from jealousy. When these ideas are isolated in academic circles, well, they're just another theory to argue about late at night over coffee and cigarettes. But when they're played out in reality, they can cause devastation. The world has buried in it far more corpses resulting from the envy of socialism than it has from the greed of capitalism. Now, thankfully, most Americans, even inside the Beltway, understand that income redistribution is not the key to our social problems or to helping health care or anything else. They understand that the ultimate outcome of that belief is to make everybody poorer. Americans don't want a society that pushes everybody down. They want one that brings everybody up, or at least that provides the opportunity for everyone to succeed as high as they can go. And it is on those great heights that our next guest has been focused over a lifetime of service as a doctor and as a politician. Joining us now from Clute, Texas, near Houston, is Republican Congressman Ron Paul of Texas. Congressman, great to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, David. Good to be with you.
Appreciate you being here. So what do you make of this poll?
Very interesting. I think it's bad news for Obama. It certainly is. But, you know, we could be a stickler for the precise definition of socialism, but he certainly is socialistic. He doesn't come out and advocate total ownership, you know, of insurance companies and drug companies and health management companies, but he works very hard with them. So it's a form of corporatism which lends itself to socialism. I think it's very dangerous. I usually like to use the word authoritarian. People who are authoritarian are very socialistic. It can lead to total socialism, and I'm afraid that's the way we're going. But there are certainly different versions. Nazism was socialism, communism, Russian communism was socialism. So there's a lot of variety. But there is no doubt he's an authoritarian. He's a big government guy. He's socialistic. I think it's bad news for him. And I don't think socialism is a good word. I don't think the American people like it. They like the words about freedom and liberty and things like that.
They don't like it, but Congressman, they are fair. The American people have this tremendous sense of fairness, and they were fair enough, as I mentioned, to elect this guy president, and now they're looking at him, they're looking at his policies, and they think they are socialists. I mean, Americans, not only are they fair, but they love to boil things down to simple points, and that is a simple point, is it not?
There's no doubt about it, and that's why I say it's very bad news, and it's good news for Republicans in general, you know, in the fall, because that's not the direction that we want to go. And I think this came out sort of in the health care debate. The country and the people who railed against it knew which direction we were going in. We weren't going toward more freedom and medical savings account and independent choices and alternatives like that. They knew we were going with more government control and redistribution of wealth, as now it finds out that his appointees probably are a little bit more blunt of where their heart really is, and that is in socialism and forced redistribution of wealth. And that's
well,
that's
and he's
a
the
bad
guy who's
sign for
appointed.
us.
You know, the buck stops with the president. The buck stops with President Obama. As Harry Truman said, the buck stops with the president. I mean, he's the guy that appointed him. He knows the history of this guy. He's appointing a guy to head up, to become our health czar, the head of Medicare and Medicaid, who does believe that the only way we get better health care is by redistributing wealth. So, I mean, he is appointing these guys. He is going in and nationalizing whole industries. Yes, he is working with the health care companies, but don't you think